All right, so we are currently talking about costs for decision making. One that we have covered so far was how classifying cost into variable and fixed cost help us calculate many important questions that an organization is wanting us to answer. That is, what is the break-even point? How much should I sell to achieve a desired profit? And what if my variable cost change? What if my fixed cost change? What if my quantity change? So first part of my presentation, I focused on cost volume profit analysis, right? Which was answering question like break-even point, margin of safety, right? And also how much to sell to earn desired profit. Second part of my presentation, I focused on a very important concept called, there's so many costs that we incur, but which of those costs are relevant for decision making? Right? How do we identify whether a cost is relevant or not? There is again some sound coming from somewhere. कौन से आ रहा है ये sound? Okay. Second part of my presentation, as I said, focused on what is relevant for decision making. While taking decisions in a shorter duration, we always focus on a principle, which is that the cost needs to be incremental in nature, differential if we are comparing two options. We must focus on what's the difference between the two. One, and two, it should be cash in nature. So depreciation by its very nature is non-cash, doesn't impact our decision. And third is it should be in future. So if you've already spent some money, irrelevant, right? Because that will not change your decision now. That cannot be recovered now. All right. And apart from this future incremental cash costs, we also need to consider something called qualitative factors for decision making, right? So, which is very important for us, right? Because we cannot just base our decision on quantitative factors. We also need to focus on the qualitative factors, the risk involved, the people involved. How does that impact their behavior? All that is also very important. All right. So I'm going to share my presentation again. Right. And we had already covered this. And by covering this, we were actually talking about relevant costs for decision making. And this is what I have taken out of that particular situation that I'd given about Karan. The cost and benefits that are relevant are those which can be affected by the decision. So insurance was not affecting a decision. Only future costs are relevant, right? So that was the difference between the insurance cost and the rest of the costs. One, only those costs which differ under some or all of the available alternatives are relevant. So whether I fly or I drive, cost that I incur to watch Tommy remains the same, right? And third, only cash costs. So if there is a cost like depreciation, which is non-cash in nature, we must simply ignore it because that is not changing my decision, right? And extremely important, decision should be based only on the items that can be expressed in, not just on the expressed in quantitative terms, we must also consider qualitative factors. So that's the principle we are going to use now on. Right now, have a look at this very simple exercise. You had purchased material previously at ₹100, which does not have any alternative use other than being converted for sale at a cost of 200. The sale proceeds after conversion will be 250. Will you go for conversion or not? That's the simple question through these 2.5 statements that I've posted here. Yes. What do you think? Will you process it? Will you convert it further? You bought it for 100. And if you convert it, you will spend 200. And after conversion, you'll sell it at 250.
Ma'am, I'm not exactly getting what is the meaning of this statement.
Okay, I'll just give you the meaning.
Can you please elaborate?
I'll just elaborate. So you bought certain raw material, right, earlier on, and you paid rupees 100 for that. Okay. And because this you bought, say, 6 months back and doesn't have any alternative use right now, you cannot put it to use, that raw material. And you receive this offer that if you convert it into something and spend 200 rupees on it, you will be able to sell it for 250 rupees. Will you convert it or you will not convert it? That's the question. Supriya is saying no. Is it the incurring extra cost? Okay, that's Supriya's decision. Let us hear it from everyone. Sneha, what is your decision? Will you spend 200 more or you will not spend 200 more? There is a surety of sale, Hina. If you spend 200 more, you'll get 250. Right? So the question is, will you spend it or you will not convert it? Raw material के ऊपर further processing करने का खर्चा. This is the amount that you will spend if you convert it into, further into some product. Will you do it or you will not do it? Yes, anyone here? Go by the principle that I told you a while back. Yes. I've received 2 answers. I want others also to answer, please. Okay.
My take on this is, if we convert, my loss is going to be 50 rupees, right? 100 rupees
Okay.
for material, 200 for conversion. So 300 rupees is the total cost. What is, what I can see here.
Yeah.
So 50 rupees is my loss. If I don't convert, I have a loss of 100 rupees.
Okay, so you're minimizing your loss, isn't it?
Minimizing my loss, cutting my losses, and moving
So
ahead.
of the 2 options,
Ultimately, if I sell this for, I don't know, whatever, 70 rupees or something like that.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
That is another.
Yeah.
Without doing anything else, sell it for 70 rupees. And my loss becomes 30 rupees.
Okay, great, wonderful. So point here is, if I have something lying with me already, on which I've already spent some money, what are the choices that I have in hand now? All right. The choices I have is, let it lie just like that and doesn't have any use. So rupees 100 has become 0. Right? And other is, spend 200 and get 250 out of it. All right. So that is giving me incremental return, right, of 50, right, as rightly pointed out by you. All right. So that's the beauty of relevant cost. If you do not convert, this 100 becomes 0. If you do convert, you spend 200 more and you get 250 out of it and 50. So net benefit is 50. Or the other way of putting it across, if you do not convert, losses of 100. If you convert, losses of 50. So you've minimized your loss by another 50. Right? That's the beauty of understanding the relevant cost for decision making. Okay, right? So through this, I was just repeating the principle once again. And also, I'm introducing another terms of cost apart from direct, indirect, fixed variable, product period. I add a very important term here, sunk cost and opportunity cost. Right? So sunk costs are those which you've already spent money on and are unaffected by your choices, like the insurance cost for that car is a sunk cost, right? And which is irrelevant for the decision making. Sunk cost that you've already spent is irrelevant. So while you comparing, suppose I'm sitting in this room, this is the boardroom, or this is the MDP room, let's assume, and I have to make a decision between whether to run finance for non-finance or an MDP on customer experience. Right? The amount that I've spent on this room, on the infrastructure, is irrelevant, right? I had spent it long time back. That is there in any case. All right. I need to look at what is the future cost of running an MDP on finance for non-finance versus an MDP on customer experience. So future costs are relevant, and some costs are irrelevant. That's point number one. Opportunity cost, I need to see what is the cost of the next best alternative. If we were not doing this MDP, what is the next thing that we might be doing because of which we might have added value to BIMTech? All right. Opportunity cost is thus extremely relevant. A cost that measures the opportunity that is lost. It's like you investing money in, say, equity shares, all right, and earning 12% or 13% in a year. If you wouldn't have invested in equity, what you would have done, maybe you would have kept it in the bank and earned 6% interest. So your opportunity cost is 6%. Anything above 6% you will welcome because that's the option you already have. All right. So that is your opportunity cost. Assuming that these are the only two options, if you add more options, obviously, the cost of the next best alternative is something that you will consider. All right. So apart from direct, indirect, fixed variable, product period, relevant, irrelevant, sunk and opportunity costs are also extremely important while taking any decision. Right. I hope this is all right. And we'll do a question now. Kindly read this exercise. So if I can just quickly give you the meaning of this question, have you read it? Or I'll just give you 2 more minutes to read it and then I'll just explain this question to you. Okay, I hope you've read it. I'll just give you a summary of this question. This company we are talking about has a capacity of making 50,000 sweaters. And because of the liquidation of one of its customer, right? Currently, they are operating at 35,000 units capacity. Normally, they run at 50,000 units capacity, right? So now they have 35,000 units capacity. So they have received this, and this is temporary. And they have received this offer from a leisure industry to make 3,000 sweaters, and the offer price is 20 per unit, right? And incremental cost that you'll incur if you make this sweater is £1 per unit. The company would collect sweaters from the factory and very clearly says no subsequent sales to this customer is anticipated. You're not expecting to sell any further to this particular customer. This is a short-term pricing, one-off pricing decision, whether you will sell or you will not sell. Okay. I think the price is somewhere getting. Does it say the selling price? Yeah, 40 is the selling price. Currently, they are selling at 40. Will you be ready to sell at 20 to these people for 3,000 sweaters? Will you agree? You will not agree with the information that is provided? So have a look at all these costs that are given, and then let's work on this to arrive at a decision whether to sell at the rate of 20. In fact, you're getting 19 since you're spending another one for inserting that logo. So will you consider this offer or you will not consider this offer? Yes, please. Whatever your thoughts are, uh, kindly share it with me. You can use the chat window if you want. Yes. Anyone who like to answer this, discuss this? Yes, please. Are we all there? Something that you're selling at 40, will you agree to sell at 20? If yes, under what circumstances? If no, why not? That's the question for you.
Ma'am, what is this second column? Right hand side.
Okay, good you asked. This is the lump sum cost and this is per unit cost. So go back to the principle and tell me which cost will you incur if you manufacture 3,000 sweaters more. Nandini, I just pasted it here, no? This is the attendance link. Here you are. Yes, please. Tell me, what will you do in this situation?
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone who wants to start the discussion here?
Well,
Yes.
May I?
Yes, please.
So direct labor is going to be incurred. Material is going to be incurred. Variable expense, £2, that is to be incurred.
Okay.
Manufacturing non-variable, that is non-variable, which is not to be considered in decision making,
Okay.
right? Marketing cost is not required here because we have already marketed it. We already have the order.
Yes.
So we should not consider the marketing cost, and that £1 of that label, that is going to be added, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that comes to £23,
Okay. Great. Which is more than 20.
which is more than 20.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I really like the way you've put it. What I'll do is,
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll just share the screen again. Just one small thing here. You know, since you assumed labor to be a variable, I will just give you a clarification on that. The question doesn't say it very clearly. Therefore, I'm going to clarify that. We kind of assume that the labor given here, 4,20,000, you know, since the capacity is of 50,000 units and capacity utilization has gone down for only a month, right? As it says, it is temporary. Direct labor in this case is a fixed cost, not a variable cost. How? If at all you've recruited people for 50,000 sweaters and all of a sudden one of your buyers says, I can't buy it from you, you wouldn't tell your labor to go away. Right?
Right.
I've recruited so many people for 50,000 sweaters. I won't say, no, go away. One of my clients said they don't need my product anymore. In that case, direct labor becomes irrelevant for us because the people are already there. Capacity is already there. I might as well use the people who are already there with me to produce the sweaters. So if I talk about incremental cost, let me try to ink it here. This is not my incremental cost. Right?
Right.
Whereas this is my incremental cost. I will surely incur it. If I make more sweaters, I will consume more wool to make those sweaters or thread or whatever I'm using in those sweaters. I will use it. And I will also use variable manufacturing overhead since it is variable in nature. More I make sweaters, more will be those overheads. This I will not use, as you correctly pointed out, this is non-variable. ये खर्चा पहले भी होना था, whether I produce 35 or I produce 50 or I produce 38, this will remain as it is. In this particular case, I'm not going to incur this also. Right? Because they are collecting it from the factory. How stocking? Can you put yourself on mute? It becomes very difficult. Please put yourself on mute, all of you. Parag, can you please put yourself on mute? Let me just try to do it over here. I can't even put him on mute right now. Shino, that's Shino. Shino, please. Okay, I could. All right. I could do that here. So as I was saying, this is the cost that you will not incur. Marketing and distribution costs, as it very clearly says that this company would collect sweaters from the factory. So we'll not incur that. In fact, we are going to incur something in this case as incremental is 1. Right? So what is the incremental cost that I'm incurring? I'm incurring 8 plus 2, that is 10, plus 1, that is 11. Incremental cost is 11. Incremental revenue is 20. You're making £9 per unit. Will you go for this short-term pricing decision? Of course, you will go for the short-term pricing decision. I will just show it to you over here. This is what I'm saying. If you do not accept order, your labor is 420. If you accept order, your labor is 420, because assumption is you've recruited labor for 50,000 units. That's the reason why. If you do not accept order, your variable cost, I've added material and the other variable cost that is given. So you will have some incremental cost 30, and non-variable manufacturing cost, no change. Extra selling cost 1. So the way I have put it here as 8 plus 2, which is 10, plus 1, that is 11. 11 is what you are incurring, and per 3,000, this is 11 into 3,000, right? I'll just try to write it. I don't know whether I can or not. If you start thinking, and this is 11 into the extra 3,000 sweaters that you are making. Okay. Keep selecting the pen. So this is 3, right? 3K. So 11 into 3. And so you making, and for this 3,000 units, you're selling at 20, so 60,000. So this gives you incremental profit of 27,000. You will go for this particular extra order which you've received. Right? So why we are discussing this? We are again highlighting the principle of relevant cost. Whenever I've asked this question in any of my classes, in any of my MDPs, everybody has said, don't go for this decision, because they were not applying the relevant cost principle really well. If you apply the relevant cost principle here, the principle that we've just done over here, this one, only future costs are relevant. No, you are incurring not any incremental cost in labor. You are not incurring any cost on fixed cost. This one, you're not incurring, right? Non-variable, you are not incurring. Marketing and distribution, you are not. Only incremental cost to make those sweaters is 8 plus 2 plus 1. Right? So based on this, you will go for it. Quantitatively, yes, it makes a lot of sense. Is this all right with all of us? Did this make sense? I will share the link. Not worry about attendance so much. Worry about your learning right now. Is this all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Isn't this very powerful when you segregate the cost in those pieces and then identify what is relevant? In fact, I'm a cost accountant, and when I teach costing, this is one of my most favorite unit because it is extremely powerful. You can use it, you can apply this at your home also. You know, we shop and we keep things with us, and then we say, oh, we've spent so much on this dress of ours, and you don't want to get rid of it because you think you've spent a lot of money on it. Maybe it is out of fashion and now you don't want to even wear it, but it still keeps lying with you. Apply the principle of sunk cost and say, okay, that money I've already spent, cannot do much about it. Better is to donate it to someone. You know, you can apply these principles in your daily life as well. All right. So that's the power of relevant cost principles. All right. So let me just go back. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this situation which was short term to a long term one. Okay, but before I do that, I must give you further on this. This we have done, understood. But an order like this, we have only talked about quantitative factors. What are the qualitative factors that you will consider while accepting this order? Though it says very clearly, let me just very important statement is this: no subsequent sales to this customer is anticipated. Right? So, a company which is selling at 40 do not want others to know that they are selling at 20 as well to certain customers. Your current customers will not be happy. All right. So this should be a one-off kind of an offer. Many of these companies like Benetton, if you reach out to them and tell them to make jerseys for your student, they give you a better rate than at the rate at which they're selling it, in the malls or in their shops. All right. You tell them to insert your logo and all of that, they do it for you. All right. But that price doesn't impact. Right? Yes, you're right, Pavet. This might ruin the reputation. So you should enter into contract that this price is only for this contract in this condition. I'm not going to give you since you had that extra capacity. First thing to check is whether I have extra capacity or not. All right. If you have it, is there any other option that I have to use this capacity? If you do not have that option and this is the only option wherein you're making some money, might as well take it for that duration only. All right. So which I've written it over here also very clearly. Only variable costs, extra selling costs and sales revenue differ between alternatives. So the way you present it, I've already written. And we will accept it only under the condition that the normal selling price will not be affected. Right? It shouldn't happen कि 20 में देने के चक्कर में 40 वाले का loss होना शुरू हो गया, right? That should not be affected, and there is no other opportunity that is available. Right? The resources have no other use. The fixed costs are unavoidable for the period under consideration. Right? So keeping those assumptions in mind, you will accept it. If any of this assumption changes, you will not accept this order. Right? As Pavet says, how about your reputation is impacted because of this, right? So now with the same question, potential problems. One, we kind of always assume that variable costs are relevant and fixed costs are irrelevant, which is not the case. In this case, something like direct labor has become a fixed cost, right? And also at times unit cost data can mislead. Though I purposely picked up unit cost only of the relevant. If you do it for all the questions, it might not apply like that. All right. So consider that, keeping the situation in mind. Now, I have added yet another feature to the very same question. Have a look at it. Now, what you're assuming is that your demand is 35,000 units from this particular source of business. And for the rest 15,000 capacity that you have per month, you can contract it at the rate of 25. And selling price, you'll have to spend £1 extra for special selling costs. And there is no other opportunities that exist. So if the contract is not accepted, you will bring down the labor by 30%. Manufacturing, if you want to reduce the capacity, in long run, what can happen is you can reduce the capacity permanently. In short run, the capacity was available for some time. Now we are looking at, as the heading says, long-term order. All right. So if you reduce it by, if you reduce from 50 to 35,000, you're bringing it down to 70% capacity permanently. Okay. So what will happen if you do that? You will save on labor, you will save 70,000 on non-variable cost, and you will also save on the marketing cost, and the extra facility that you've created can now be rented for 25,000 per month. Either you do this or you do this. So there are two options, two bullet points. Either you do first one or you do the second one. Which one will you pick and why? Do the calculations, please. Should I copy paste this one and I show you the numbers so that you can work on it? Because you would need this information along with this information. You need both the pieces of information. Yes, I'll just do that. So for the long-term order, I am pasting it here. Two options. Let me just write that down. One is this, and second, and here you are. All right, these are the two options, and kindly use this with this. This was short term. Now we've given you for the long term pricing decision. Will you go for it? You will not go for it. Think about it. So you might, I'm just going to give you hint and help in this is make two columns if you do not accept the first option, right? And if you do accept the first, so operating at 50,000 capacity or operating at 35,000 capacity permanently. There are two options that are given to you. How much profit are you making, Pavit, if you accept the contract of selling at 25 pounds? 15,000 you will sell at 25 and rest you will sell at 40. If you accept the contract, I'll just write it here. If you operate at 50K capacity, what will you do? You will sell 35K at 40 and you will sell 15K at 25. This is what you will do if you operate at 50,000 capacity. This will be your sales minus all the costs that has been given to you. And other is operate at 35K capacity. I'm just simplifying it and renting the space that was given to you, right? These are the two options that you have. And obviously in the second one, you're bringing down the costs also. So work on that. I'm giving you a few minutes to process that information. Yes, please. Are we all working on this? Yes, do you need my help? Should I share an Excel? Work on it with you? Will that be more helpful? Yes? I'll just do that, yes. I could sense it that you do need my help here with this one. This one's slightly more demanding. I'm just looking for an Excel sheet. Okay. Okay, Priya, I'll just do that. Okay. So let's work on this. I'll just work on this with you. I hope my Excel sheet is visible. Is it visible? Yes. Okay. So let me just copy paste this information on the Excel sheet. Okay, so we have these options. We do not accept the order, we accept the order. Okay. So units sold, let's be very clear. In the first option, if we do not accept the order, it's going to be 35,000 units. And if we accept it, it is going to be 50,000. All right. Now let's look at how much will we incur as direct labor. I'll just copy that also from the PPT. So I waste less time on this. Give me a second, please. I'm just copying it here. Okay, so here I am sharing my Excel sheet. Is this okay? So give me how much should I write in direct labor if I do not accept the order? I'll just freeze it. Okay. Direct labor given to you is 420,000 for this if you accept the order. And it says it will go down by 30% if you do not accept this order. If you've read that question, so it will be so much, right? 2,94,000. All right. Variable cost, we are adding the material and the variable cost given to you. If you accept the order, it is 5 lakh. If you do not accept the order, again, it is going to be, you will save on 30% of it. Then a non-variable cost was given to you as, just a moment. I hope my Excel sheet is visible to all of you. Is it visible? Yes? Okay. So variable cost, this is my variable non-variable cost. If I accept the order, if I operate at that level, it was 2,80,000. And it says you will save 210 if you bring down the capacity. So 210 over here. Extra selling cost for this one was given to you as 1 per extra unit that you're selling, and that makes it 15,000. Is this fine so far? I should hold on for a minute to take your reactions. Is this fine with all of us? Whatever I have done so far?
Extra selling, I think, ma'am, it is not correct. It is, if I accept, then it has to be 50,000.
If you go to the chat window where I pasted this part of the question, it says 1 per unit is my special selling cost. I'm pasting it again so that we all understand in the same way. Here, I've pasted it. It says, assume now spare capacity in the foreseeable 50,000 units, demand of 30, and that an opportunity for contract of 15,000 units per month at 25 as a special price emerges, involve 1 per unit selling special price, right? So 1 per unit on that extra 15,000 that we are selling at 25 is 15,000. Is this okay now?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. And marketing and distribution costs given to you is 105, and it says you will save 20,000 in that, so it will be 85,000 over here. All right. So these are my total costs. Let me just sum them up, and then I'll also look at the revenues, which I'm yet to consider. I know. Till here. 9,39,000, yes, and this. Okay, so now if I'm renting it out, how much is my rent? Can someone tell me? It was posted here. How much was my rent? I think 25,000. 25,000 is my rent. In this case, obviously there is no rent. Right, and how much is the revenue? So is equals to 35,000 multiplied by 40 is my revenue. Value, because there is a gap over here. Let me just bring down the gap, and it is so much. Okay. Is this fine? What I've written revenue? Is this rent facility thing fine with all of us? Going back, if you look at what was there in the question, if you bring down the capacity, you can rent the facility at 25,000 as rent. And you will sell 35,000 units at the rate of 40. All right. Over here, there is no rent. Over here, what are you doing? You are selling 35,000 units at the rate of 40 plus rest 15,000 you are selling at the rate of 25. Am I correct? Is this okay? Is this fine? 35,000 into 40, and you got a contract of 15,000 units. Yes, and it says yes. Rest of the people also please have a look at it. I know this is slightly more tricky than what we were doing yesterday. Yes. Okay. So enter, and your sales revenue is so much. So now let us compare the two. Over here, you're making this money, plus you're making money from rent, and minus this is your cost. You're making 4,86,000 vis-a-vis 4,55,000 here. I'll just insert commas so that okay, so we have 455 if we operate at 50,000 capacity, and we are making 486 if we operate at 35,000 capacity. I'll just repeat it in case you're facing problem understanding it. Okay, for now I am ignoring the last column, that is of a difference. Okay, obviously the difference between the two will go in there. So first, what are the two options I'm comparing? Why am I comparing these two options? Because my costs and revenues are changing amongst these two options. All right. In the first option, I don't see demand in future. So I have reduced my capacity permanently to 35,000 from 50,000 sweaters. When I reduce it to 35,000, I get extra space, because of which I could make certain rent income, which is 25,000. And this 35,000, I am selling at the rate of 40. Right? I am inserting another column so that we get it. The selling price okay, and over here 40 for 35,000 units and 25 for 15,000 units when I give it on contract. Remember, I'd written that also over there. All right. So looking at now, if you permanently reduce your capacity, you can reduce your direct labor from 420 to 294. Variable cost also you have reduced. These are all the costs that you're reducing. You know, these three, you're permanently reducing it from its current capacity. All right. So you're permanently reducing these from 420 to 294, 5 lakh to 30. आपका 50,000 से 35,000 हो गया, तो सब कुछ आपने कम कर दिया. लेबर भी कम रखनी शुरू कर दी. Material and other costs also you've reduced, and non-variable overheads also you've reduced. All right. Material marketing costs also you've reduced. See, this is also reduced. All right. But on this extra 15 over here, you're incurring this 15,000 extra cost. All right. So you comparing. So after doing all this, you have arrived at these totals cost, which you're comparing with the revenue. And that's why you will now go for do not accept the order. In the earlier case, you were accepting the order. In this case, you are not accepting the order. Is this making sense? Is this okay? Not okay? Any questions? Please ask me. I'll just give you 2-3 minutes to absorb this information. Yeah, Hina, it is quite a lot of information. But if you, how do we absorb a lot of information? We break it into pieces and we take one thing at a time. The beauty of finance, as I understand it, is it structures all the information in the pieces which are relevant. So first we start with, at what capacity am I operating? 35,000, 50,000. At what rate am I selling? 35,000 at 40, another 15 at the rate of 25. So you have to, if you look at the whole information in one go, you will sit like this, okay, oh God, what nonsense, so much of information. If you take one piece of information and start writing and apply that principle, then it is like, all set. All right. So people who work in the area of finance and other areas also need to be very patient. But with us, we deal with a lot of information, a lot of data. So it becomes even more important for us. All right. Is this okay? So any questions, please ask me. Else I'll move on to the next bit of my presentation. Any questions, anyone? Yes, any questions? No? Okay, this is fine. Pavat, is this fine with you? Ashwini,
Ma'am.
how about you?
Fine, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So, okay, so I go back here. I'd already written this over here, so I'm not going to repeat it. This we've already talked about, right? So let's not repeat it. And let's go to another important decision, make versus buy. Okay. For that, what we'll do, somebody highlighted this yesterday. So I've included it over here. Kindly read the question. So you're manufacturing this particular component, you're incurring material, labor, variable manufacturing, fixed manufacturing, and share of non-manufacturing overheads. So always look at these components very closely. If you just look at the total, you will make a mistake. So if you compare 36 with 30, if I say, okay, banane mein 36 ka kharcha and if I buy it is at 30, you will immediately go for 30. Don't do that. So what is it that we should be doing? We should, as we said, devil is in detail. We should look at the breakup. Breakup of the items of cost. So direct material, if I buy, will I incur it? No, I will not incur this cost. Direct labor, will I incur it? No, I will not incur this cost. Variable manufacturing overheads, if I buy it, will I incur it? No, I will not. Fixed manufacturing overheads, how about this? It very clearly says,
That will incur. That will incur.
yeah, that we will incur, right? So I will incur 8. I will also incur the share of non-manufacturing overheads. It says direct material and variable overheads are avoidable. Fixed manufacturing overheads would be reduced by 10. So we'll incur 70. All right. But non-manufacturing overhead costs would remain unchanged. So you will still incur of the 5, the last 2, even if you buy it. Right? So how will you buy it or you will make it? Now I've given you the hints very clearly. So if you can work on that and tell me, I'm giving you 2-3 minutes. So can we prepare two columns, make versus buy? If we do make, this column that is written over here, that is given over here, will appear as it is, right? This is column for make. If we do it for buy, let me just ink it, right? If we make, if we buy, this we will not incur, this we will not incur, this we will not incur, this we will incur. So 70,000 of this. I'm trying to write with the help of mouse. So that's why it is looking like this. And we'll incur 50. Right?
Why 70,000, ma'am? Why not 80?
It says, if you're over here, if you read it, this, sorry, this particular part would be reduced by 10,000 per annum if you buy it from outside.
Okay.
Right? So I've reduced it by 10,000. Right? And if I then add to it 30, so 3 lakh. So of making and all that, I add 3 lakh over here, 3 and this. Okay. I compare it now. If I take the total of 3 lakh plus 70,000 plus 50,000, it will be 420. All right. Let me show it to you in a better handwriting. Here it is. It will be like this.
We should go for making it.
Yes, definitely we should go for making, because I am incurring 3,60,000 vis-a-vis 4,20,000 if I buy it. Right? Now, in this case, the beauty of this particular case is, it's a fixed cost which is relevant in this case. Right? And fixed cost is changing our decision. Normally, you know, there is a myth that fixed cost is irrelevant, variable cost is relevant. No, depends upon the situation. Right? Because you're still incurring it even if you buy it from outside. That will become relevant cost. Right? Is this okay? I'll just stop sharing. If you have any questions, please ask me. Any questions? Or this was all right? Yes? This is fine. It is okay. Okay, so let me go back. You know what? Other thing that we must consider in make versus buy is, if I buy from outside, I'm creating some capacity. What is the opportunity cost of that capacity? Because if I make it, I'm using my factory, right? If I buy it, that factory is now idle. That capacity is available. What is it that I can do with that capacity? That's another component that I'm going to add now. Okay. Let us look at that. I know it is too much of information, but it's a very important information, right? Now I'm adding this. Have a look at this. So now what are the options? If you have read this, I'm going to mention the options. Make component A, right? And do not make part B. That is option number 1 that you have. Okay. Another option that you have is number 2, that is outsource component A, and do not make part B. That's a second choice you have. And third choice, simple choice, is outsource component A and make and sell part B. Okay, so this is option number 3. I should have written 3. This is what happens when you copy paste and you don't make the changes. Here. So there are 3 options now that this company has. Which one will it go for? If you can process this information. So assume that the extra capacity that will be made available from outsourcing component A can be used to manufacture and sell 10,000 units of B at a price of 34. So for B, they've given you a price. A, they have not given you a price. For B, they have. So if you make and sell B, you're making extra money, which is 3,40,000, 34 into 10,000. Labor used for manufacturing A can be used for B, so same labor. The variable, fixed and non-manufacturing would be the same. The materials required to manufacture A would not be required, but additional materials required for. So only the raw material information is changing. Should company outsource component A? So I wrote 3 options. 2 columns are these only, no change, 360, 420. All right, so take them as it is. Now let's talk about the third option. So what is the third option? How much will be the material? The rest of the things I said will be the same, right? That is 1 lakh, 10, 80, 50 will remain as it is. Material in place of 120 will be now 130. Okay, so let me just show you the solution. How will we handle it? Okay, here you are. First and second, do not bother about that. We've already discussed it. Third part, material is now 130, labor is 1, variable manufacturing overhead 10, fixed manufacturing overhead 80, non-manufacturing 50, outside purchase cost 3 lakh. And the beautiful thing that is added here now is you're selling part B at 34, as I said. 34 is the new price at which you're selling the component B, right? And there are 10,000 units, so 3,40,000, right? So look at these total net costs that we have got. Your option 3, in fact, is the most useful option. Have a look at it. 330 should feature under the column 3. Is this making sense? You can ask me questions, please. I know you all from non-finance background, so it will take some more time, right? Anyone with any questions, please ask me. Oh, what did I do? I stopped sharing the screen only. Let me just share it again. Okay. Yeah. I just want to clarify on one thing. You will notice that rest of the things are all written as positive. When we put a bracket, that's a negative 3,40,000. Why have we written it like that? Because most of the information was given to you as a cost, right? So material, labor, overheads, all were given to you as cost. And only revenue is given for part B, which applies to column number 3, and that is 3,40,000. Right? So we have taken that 3,40,000 over there. Right? And that we put in bracket. We have compared the revenues with the cost. If I outsource component A and make and sell part B, net I'm getting 330 as cost as compared to 420 and 360. Therefore, I'll go for option number 3. Is this all right? Pavit, is this all right with you? Hina, is this all right? Are we all there?
Yes, ma'am, we are there.
Okay. Is
Assimilating. It's taking time.
Okay, take your time, please.
Ma'am, in case 1, what we are getting?
In case 1, which is we are just making component A and we are not making B, so our overall cost is 360. When we outsource component A and do not make part B, our cost is 420. But when we outsource component A and make and sell part B, our total cost is 330. How? 130 is material cost. Labor cost is 1. Again, there is some barrier. Let me just see from whom it is. Okay. And rest of the costs were just the same, but because we are spending some money on outsourcing, we have written that. Plus, we are making some revenue, so we have written that as well.
So 330 we are spending, and
That is the net cost.
we are getting.
Yes. So if you notice, I've written net costs over here. So wherever we have got lowest cost, we'll select that option. Is this okay? Yes. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is fine with all of us, right?
Yes.
Any questions, please ask me. I know this is slightly tricky as compared to what we've covered so far. So what I'll now do is yet another decision, and that will be the last one for the day, since there's only 15 minutes left. Okay, and we have covered a lot of ground today. I'm very happy with the output that we could talk about a lot of things. So what I'm going to talk about now is an extremely important decision is discontinuation decision. Okay, so here we are. A very simple exercise. Look at this. There are 3 divisions, southern, northern, and central. Kindly read it. Now, as you can see, there are of the three regions, Central is in loss of 56,000 pounds. And now the question arises, will you like to carry on with the Central or you will not like to carry on? Will you continue with Central division or you will discontinue? That's the question that we have for you. So we have given you sales, variable cost and fixed cost, and profit and loss is given. So 900, 1,000 and 900, right? So if we carry on with Central, how much money we make? If we do not carry on with Central, how much money we make? That's the question for you. Yes, are we working on this? Is this okay?
Screen is not visible.
Is it visible now? I'm sorry. Is
Yes.
it visible now? Yes. So you have to tell me whether you will carry on with Central or you will discontinue. It says, assume that special study indicates that 2,50,000 of Central fixed cost and all the variable costs are avoidable. And 108. So how much is the fixed cost of Central? It is 358. Right? Let me just ink it so that we know what we are discussing. So overall fixed cost is 58, right, of Central. If I discontinue with this, how much cost will I in any case incur?
108.
108 in any case I'll incur. What do you think? Should we carry on or we shouldn't carry on? If I don't continue, my loss is 108. If I continue, my loss is 56. My loss, overall loss here is 56, no?
Continue.
Right? So I better continue with it, right? Yes, you're
Yes.
right. Right? So it's rather than, so again, what have we done? Rather than just looking at this loss of 56, what are we comparing it? What if I don't continue? How much will be my loss? It will be 108. And other way of putting across this information is this. Have a look at this. I've looked at how much is my profit with Central and how much is my profit without Central. Right? In fact, I have made it even simpler by comparing it, the 56 with 108. right? So I'm doing just this calculation over here, which is reflected here. Right? I suggest that don't look at this. In fact, this is much better. Comparing 56 as a loss with all this will go away. I will not have, let me just, I will not get any sale. So nothing, zero. Variable cost becomes zero. What will be my fixed cost? 108. So the minus item that I've written 56 will become now minus item 108. In fact, it is, we've increased our loss. All right. So our suggestion is continue with central. Right? Is this making sense? Yes. 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 Okay. All right. So I'll just stop sharing and will not take any other case. If you have any questions, please ask me. Thank you. Yes. Any questions? I'm going to close it here if you don't have any questions. And any questions? Vinodhini, if you have any question, please ask me. Ashwini, Pavit, Amudha, Ruma, Akriti, Pradeep. Any questions, please ask me. No?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so this was my last session with you. Next sessions will be taken by Professor Girish Jain, and Ankur has also done, I think, with all his sessions. So we have Professor Malhotra and Professor Girish Jain for rest of the 2.5 days that you have with us. I hope you will, add a lot of knowledge to you. I mean, you already are knowledgeable, but if we attend programs of different areas, it adds a lot of, I attend a lot of marketing and HR, programs, so that I gain a lot from them. Right. And I would like to thank you thanks each one of you for joining in. Right. And I have sent in my material to Professor Girish Jain. I'm sure he'll be sharing it with all of you, the PPT and the Excel, all that we've used in the class. Right. And as I said, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm mentioning my email ID here, meena.bhatia@bimtech.ac.in. I've mentioned it here. If you want to write to me, though more than this, LinkedIn works better because there is a message box there. So I hope we connect on the LinkedIn. And we help each other in whichever way in future also. Right? Fine. Okay, Hina, please carry on. You can ask me a question. Any questions, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, while you were presenting things, so you have told us that in order to minimize the losses, like while you're making comparison, so when we're infusing more money, like in the first case that you had taken that, 100 rupees is the fixed cost. If we infuse 150 more, then probably and if we sell the product for 250, 50 would be the loss that would be curtailed down from 100 to 50.
Yeah.
So my query here is, instead of infusing more cash for, minimizing the losses, if we use that particular amount for something else and, make more money out of it, will that be a better decision to be taken, or how does it work?
I love your question, Hina. What you said is absolutely correct. So whenever we are taking such decision, we are assuming that there's no other opportunity. So opportunity cost itself is a major, major thing that will impact our decision. If we have other options which are giving us better returns, we will go for that option. What I was doing, I was comparing two options: keeping the material as it is, or spending 200 more to get 250. Right? If I keep it as it is, my material becomes zero. Right? If I spend 200, right? So minus 200 and plus 250 is what is going to happen. So it gives me plus 50. I was comparing only 1 with 2. I was not comparing it with any other third option that might come my way. So a smart manager would compare all the options.
Yeah, because ma'am, this would be what you have taught as a bookish example, but in the real world, in the real scenario,
Absolutely.
definitely when actual decisions are taken, business decisions are taken, probably
Absolutely.
all these factors would be considered.
Definitely. I am not brought that kind of case purposely. There is one case study given in Colin Drury's book, wherein we have 9 or 10 options, and we write cost for all the options. It takes around 3 to 4 hours just to do that one case study
Okay,
class,
ma'am.
right? Wherein we compare, there's this lodge which has so many options available. And that's the beauty of the case is you write for each option, which option, you normally do not have 2 options only. That was just to simplify and understand the concept of relevant cost, right?
Okay.
Normally you will have multiple options and then you will do, and at times you will not even be aware of many other options that might be available, but you are not, aware of it.
Correct,
So that
correct.
is also a possibility, all right?
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
other
Thank
questions?
you.
Thank you, Hina. That was a wonderful question. Thanks for raising it. Yes. Anyone else with any other question? No. So then we'll close it here. Thank you so much for your time. I really liked interacting with all of you. I hope you also feel the same, right? And we'll close it here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meena ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. And bye-bye and best of luck.